All right, we have some breaking news on a Friday right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. coming at you from home because I was doing some errands. I got the notification on my phone that the San Francisco 49ers have traded for defensive end and edge rusher Randy Gregory, the Denver Bronco, previously to that, the Dallas Cowboy. We're going to break this down, tell you what it means, the compensation, and I'm going to explain why this is an absolute steal that the Niners just pulled off because they're adding at an important position and barely paying a price tag for a player who's really, really accomplished in this league. First, though, this is why you subscribe to the channel. Closing in on 100,000 subs right here on the 49ers Report. Be a part of the faithful movement, and when breaking news happens, even if I'm out running errands at Home Depot because I'm a handyman low-key, I'll race back to do a video right here on the channel. So, the compensation for Randy Gregory. Niners trading away to the Denver Broncos a 6th-round pick in 2024 and a 7th-round pick in 2024. And keep in mind, I'm reacting to this right away, so all of this information is coming out every minute, pretty much at this point. And we talked about Randy Gregory a little bit earlier this week because reports had surfaced that the Broncos plan to release Gregory, who they signed back in 2022 in free agency on a 5-year, $70 million contract after there was a contract dispute and a miscommunication with Gregory and his former team in the Dallas Cowboys. He spurns Dallas, signs with Denver. Stint doesn't work out because he was paid a lot of money for little production, got hurt a little bit last year when healthy, solid player. But the Niners here, only giving up a 6th-rounder and a 7th-rounder, they still have 11 draft picks in the 2024 NFL draft, and they're barely paying Randy Gregory anything. And that's why this move is a steal, because the Niners here, low risk, potentially high reward, need some more pass rush help opposite of Nick Bosa. And really, for a team, San Francisco, through 4 games, they only have 7 sacks. Now, I think that Steve Wilkes has done a really solid job. I think that the Niners have pressured the quarterback a ton. Nick Bosa is still the highest graded edge rusher in the game right now throughout the first month, despite only having 1 sack. But you could use some more sack production. Javon Hargrave, Drake Jackson leading the way for San Francisco with 3 sacks, and Gregory is a pass rush specialist. And going back to the compensation here for San Francisco, the Niners are paying him only $840,000 in guaranteed money, and they have 4 seasons of team control now through 2026. But if that 5-year, $70 million contract that was attached to Gregory concerns you a little bit, none of that money is guaranteed after 2024. So think about that. The Niners are trading away a 6th and 7th rounder for a guy who has, I think, 19 and a half sacks throughout his entire career with Dallas, with Denver. They need pass rush help. He can be a really solid player opposite of Nick Bosa, and they're barely paying him anything because the Broncos are taking on about $14 million this year, and they're eating a lot of that money for Gregory because they want to give some playing time to some younger players. 6'5", 242. So a long, lengthy, twitchy athlete who I think is only going to benefit playing for Chris Kocurek, the best defensive line coach in the NFL, in this system, and for Kocurek that prioritizes being aggressive and trying to get after the passer. And of course, he's playing on a stacked defensive line, which features Eric Armstead, stud, Javon Hargrave, stud, Nick Bosa, stud, and then you have Drake Jackson, Cleveland Ferrell as rotational backups, and they're certainly capable players as well. He played his college football at Nebraska, 6 years in the NFL for Gregory. I was right, the 19 and a half career sacks, and his sacks by year. He's never had like crazy sack numbers, but quarterback hits, quarterback pressures, collapsing the pocket, generating a pass rush, all of those things really important. You might remember the name because he actually injured Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs in 2021, dropping him on his shoulder, and that's what led to the Niners not being able to trade Garoppolo that offseason. Interesting stuff right there. But sacks by year, 0, 1, 6, 3.5, 6, 2, 1. So that's what he's done, and that was in reverse order. So that's going from this year all the way back to his rookie year. So, you know, some 6-sack seasons sprinkled in there for Gregory, and really the takeaway here is that the Niners are giving up nothing, 6th and 7th rounder, still have 11 picks. Their own, they have a first rounder finally this year, all those compensatory picks as well, despite losing those 2 draft picks. And he now gets to play alongside opposite of Nick Bosa, which can only help this football team, I think. So Randy Gregory, this trade to the San Francisco 49ers, I like it. I like taking the risk. He has run into some legal issues throughout his NFL career, and that's why some people have some pause, but he is a player who has a lot of confidence, who has a lot of swagger, who has a lot of pedigree, drafted in the 2nd round all the way back in 2015 out of Nebraska, as I said, and a guy who's been accomplished in this league. And you think about what the Niners look for in the prototype of a defensive end, a guy who can, of course, get after the quarterback, who has pass rushing skills, who has that athleticism, who can benefit from just playing alongside all of the other players along this defensive line. Now, going back to the character issues thing, he's had a couple of them. Back in 2016, was suspended first 4 games of the season due to violating the league's substance abuse policy. On September 29th, he was reported to have failed a second drug test just after leaving an undisclosed treatment facility earlier that month. He was removed from the team's roster. This caused him to miss an additional 10 games because he was suspended, making him ineligible to return to the Cowboys until December of 2019. And then on November 11th, it was reported that he failed a third drug test and was facing a policy-mandated year-long suspension added on to his ongoing 14-game suspension. Gregory was activated from his consecutive season suspensions on December 26 prior to the Week 16 matchup against the Detroit Lions. His year-long suspension not in place at the time, so he was able to make the 2016 season debut, as I'm kind of just passing along this information on the fly. Now, I do believe that a lot of those instances for Gregory were because of positive marijuana tests, and the NFL is far less stringent testing for marijuana these days. But then again, in 2019, Gregory was suspended indefinitely by the NFL for again violating the league's substance abuse policy, as well as re-engaging on the terms of his conditional reinstatement from an indictment that occurred on New Year's Day of 2019. On April 2nd, the Cowboys extended his contract through 2020. However, this extension was later blocked due to the terms of the 2020 CBA, as well as the league ruling that players under suspension cannot be given new contracts. The good news here is that since 2020, he's been able to stay on the field. And in his first season in Denver, got off to a good start, actually, and was looking to really be living up to the free agent money that he received on the open market. He gets hurt his knee this year, not much production at all, and the Broncos wanting to move in a new direction with some younger players, and that's why they're trading him away. So the overall takeaways here for this Gregory move for the Niners, as I just had to do this show completely on the fly with no notes or anything outside of some of the tweets that I had pulled up because I wanted to give you this video as soon as possible. Good impact player opposite of Nick Bosa. Some character concerns, of course. Injury last year, but is healthy. His pass rush win rate numbers are actually pretty good as well. We talked about all of these statistics earlier on this week on the San Francisco 49ers report, so we kind of saw that this was a possibility for the Niners. At the time, you're thinking, okay, maybe the Niners could sign him. It ends up being a trade because the Broncos held on to him, and they wanted to see if they could get anything back, and they get something back in Randy Gregory. All right, 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. Thanks to everybody who tuned in today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and if any other moves happen in the lead up to this game against the Dallas Cowboys, where maybe Randy Gregory sees the field, we'll let you know here on the channel.